My name is Helen Turner, and I'm 57 years old. I've spent most of my life in a quiet suburb outside of Asheville, North Carolina. Life was simple. Married young, raised two wonderful kids, and filled my days with gardening, volunteering at the local library, and sharing coffee chats with longtime neighbors. Romance was something I had tucked away in the past. Something I believed belonged to a younger, more vibrant version of me. But sometimes life nudges you gently, and sometimes it arrives like a thunderclap. It was just past 6 on a Thursday evening. I had just finished cleaning up the kitchen when I heard a knock at the door. I assumed it was my neighbor, Claire, coming to retrieve the pie dish she'd left from last night's dinner. Instead, it was her husband, Tom. His eyes were red and swollen, not from lack of sleep, but from the kind of grief that settles deep. The smell of whiskey lingered on his breath. He looked lost. "Helen," he said softly. I didn't know where else to go. Tom had always been steady, cheerful, the kind of man who'd fix your fence without asking for anything in return. Seeing him like that, shoulders hunched, voice cracking, it unsettled me. "Come in," I said, stepping aside. He entered slowly, pausing in the middle of the living room, like a man unsure of where he belonged. After a few seconds, he said the words I wasn't expecting. "Claire left. This morning. Said she needed time. Packed a bag and drove to her sister's in Georgia." I blinked. They'd always seemed like the kind of couple who'd figured it out. Partners in the truest sense. I gestured to the couch. "Sit," I said quietly. Tom sank into the edge like it might swallow him. "I'm sorry for just showing up," he added. "I didn't know who else to talk to." "It's okay," I replied, and I meant it, though something stirred inside me. It had been a long time since someone needed me like that. He continued talking, his voice cracking at times. "She said she's been unhappy for years. I thought we were fine. I missed the signs. I always thought we had time." I listened. I knew that feeling, the slow unraveling. My own marriage ended not in shouting, but in silence, in forgetting to say goodnight, in separate lives under the same roof. After a long pause, I said, "Let me make you some tea." I returned with 2 mugs, and we sat in silence, steam rising between us. He thanked me, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's strange," he said, "how someone can be in your life for decades and then just vanish." We talked quietly about loss, memory, and the way life takes turns you don't plan. He noticed I hadn't changed much in the house since Dan, my husband, passed. I admitted that I couldn't bring myself to. The routine, the memories, they were my anchors. Then he said something I wasn't ready for. "I've watched you all these years, Helen. Not in a weird way, just noticed you. You always seemed peaceful, like you figured something out the rest of us missed." I didn't know how to respond. I wasn't used to being seen, not like that. Not for who I was under the routine. But somehow, in that moment, I felt it too. Something real, something gentle rising between us. "I should go," he said after a while, standing up slowly. I walked him to the door. On the porch, he paused and looked at me. "Last night, during dinner, I realized something. You made me feel ease, like I could breathe again. I haven't felt that in a long time." My heart stuttered. I managed to say, "It's not out of line. It's honest." He gave a quiet nod and walked back across the lawn to his house. I watched until he disappeared behind his front door. The next morning, the light looked different. I moved slower, thinking about that moment on the porch. what had passed between us. I didn't know what it was exactly, but it wasn't nothing. Later that afternoon, while I was tending the garden, I heard his voice over the fence. "Morning, Helen," he called. He held a small box. "Found these gardening books in the attic. Figured you might use them." I smiled. "Bring them over." He did. We sat in the kitchen, flipping through old pages, sipping fresh tea, talking about nothing important and everything that mattered. At one point, his hand brushed mine, and he didn't pull away. Neither did I. "I miss being near someone who listens," he said, his voice catching slightly. "Who sees me?" I looked into his eyes. Not Claire's husband, not the man next door, but Tom. Just Tom. "I see you," I said. He didn't kiss me. He didn't ask for anything. He just stayed with me in that quiet moment, hand in hand, both of us trying to remember what it felt like to be seen.